My name is Dick Boak. I worked for Martin Guitars for 42 years, had a fantastic career. Started out as a design draftsman and gradually moved through many different jobs, ending up in artist relations, where I had the privilege of collaborating with some of the greatest artists of our time. This is the first episode of a video series about signature model artists and Martin's collaborations with over 100 different artists. This is my signature story. So in 1994, Chris Martin and I were out at the NAMM show, and we actually held our dealer dinner at the Gene Autry Museum of Western Heritage, and we're so impressed with the museum. On display they had Gene Autry's Martin guitar, the very first D45 made, and it was Chris's idea and proposal to Gene Autry to replicate that guitar as a limited edition. This was in fact really the first of the artist's signature models. It was successful. We made, I think, 66, something like that, of the Gene Autry model. They weren't cheap. They were, I think, $25,000, and top-of-the-line style 45s. Upon that success, Eric Clapton had been really popular for his Unplugged series on MTV, and everybody was asking about the guitar that Eric was playing. He was actually playing a 1939 0042, a beautiful vintage guitar, and it was a model that we weren't making anymore. I actually received so many phone calls about the instrument that I went into Chris Martin's office and asked him if he would approve my contacting Eric and suggesting a signature model collaboration. The intent in doing the signature model with Eric was to replicate that guitar more or less. That's how everything started with Eric. Turned out to be such an enormous success that the entire signature model program was launched, and we in fact revisited Eric Clapton on many, many different occasions to produce other versions of the 000 guitars, and certainly the most successful of all the signature models. Eric's guitar player, his co-guitar player on MTV Unplugged, is a musician named Andy Fairweather Lowe. And Andy, on that show, played a different model that had hexagon inlays and somewhat different specifications. I think it had been modified by Mike Longworth into a style 45 guitar, originally having been a 0028. In producing Eric's model, we took the specifications from the guitar that Andy Fairweather Lowe was playing, mixed them with the guitar that Eric was playing, and came up with kind of a hybrid of specifications for the model. Style 42 with pearl inlay that goes around the perimeter of the top, as well as the fingerboard and rosette. Eric's signature at the last fret. Snowflake inlays on the fingerboard, as well as the bridge. The standard style 45 CF Martin on the headstock. Everything else is fairly straightforward. Style 42, Indian rosewood with Sitka spruce. We like the toner, the what we call mellow yellow toner at the time, and that gives an aged appearance which came pretty close to the color of Eric's original guitar. This model was 461. There were 461 guitars made, plus a couple of prototypes. The reason for 461, of course, is Eric's groundbreaking comeback album, 461 Ocean Boulevard. I always liked the idea of trying to find a number that was significant or important to the artist. I went through all of his albums and all of the song titles and landed on 461 Ocean Boulevard as kind of the perfect number for the edition. It was a lot of guitars. Our sales manager didn't think we could ever sell that many guitars. It had never been done before, really. We went to the trade show, the NAMM show, and introduced the model, and I think in the first 2 hours, the entire 461 guitars were sold. It was really groundbreaking, and it really set the stage for all of the future projects. What Eric liked about the Triple O guitar is the short scale. The short scale is about half an inch shorter than the longer scale Martin guitars, 24.9 inches. The shorter the string length, the more flexible and bendable the notes. Eric, being an electric guitar player, really loved to bend notes. And I think the short scale Triple O really appealed to him for that reason. The challenges surrounding signature models often are involved with the contractual arrangements. It's really important to get things in writing, and it was always my intention to not have contracts be cumbersome, to have them be short and sweet. As a matter of fact, I like the idea of a half a page contract and more or less just a written version of our handshake agreement. From the very start, the royalties from signature model projects, starting with the Eric Clapton project, were intended to go to charities of the artist's choosing. And in the case of the first Eric Clapton model, it was the Eric Clapton Charitable Trust for Children. That was chosen for fairly obvious reasons because of the tragedy that had happened with Eric's son, Connor. So this introduced an emotional and charitable element to the project, and charitable elements continued through all of the signature model projects that followed. So we made the first prototypes. I think there was 2 or 3 prototypes made. Since we were flying over to the Frankfurt Music Messe, we decided to hand carry Eric's prototype to present to him at the Albert Hall. He was doing a concert there. Chris Martin and his half-brother Douglas Greth and I flew over to London, and we met with Philip York, who was the distributor for Martin Guitars in England. And we went to the Albert Hall, and in the basement of the Albert Hall, set up a little photo shoot, an area to present the guitar to Eric. Of course, he had the original 1939 model, and we had the prototype of the replica or signature model. And so we got some great photographs that day, and presented the guitar to Eric. And in fact, he played it that night at the Albert Hall. The interesting thing about Eric Clapton is that he's a fairly quiet and private person. He doesn't like a lot of fanfare. He doesn't like photographers in his face and interviews and everything. He just he likes to be with people, but he doesn't like all of the media attention. Realizing that, actually, it took us a little while to realize that. We had a setup in the basement of the Albert Hall, and we had a professional photographer there, and bright lights like these. Eric came in and immediately felt a little uncomfortable in that situation. That was a good lesson for me because I realized that each of the artists that we deal with has a different capacity to put up with media attention and photography and fanfare. We got through that with Eric. He was a little uncomfortable, but we got through that at the Albert Hall. And all my successive interactions with Eric Clapton, we always took into consideration his general distaste for the media. Because there was still pent-up demand after the 461 initial guitars that we issued, there were still thousands and thousands of players that really wanted an Eric Clapton guitar. I actually had a couple of conversations with Eric about it, and I decided to prototype a what I called a poor man's Eric Clapton guitar. In fact, it was a 00028 EC, had simple herringbone around the perimeter of the top instead of pearl inlay. Just a scaled down model, but the tonal aspects were identical to the higher price model. So the intent of the 000 was that it would be a special edition instead of a limited edition. Limited edition had a fixed number, 461 guitars, no more could be made. A special edition was numbered in sequence, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, etc., but without a specific total, so that if it was extremely popular, we could keep going. And boy, did we keep going. We made thousands and thousands of the Eric Clapton 00028 EC model. It was certainly one of the most popular, if not the most popular, artist edition ever done. We continued to offer different models, some nationally and some in collaboration with our Japanese distributor, Kurosawa. And I think there was as many as 10 or more different Eric Clapton versions of the 000 guitar. So this is my signature story. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more episodes like this about all of the collaborations that have happened between Martin and some of the greatest musicians of our time.